Skies.
My favorite character.
Aha! Was Major Davis on Stargate SG-1 and TC on AMC's Preacher. He's also a multiple award-winning director and is here at the Kanab Film Festival with his father, Bill Cunningham, with their second music video together. Please welcome him.
Woo! Welcome!
Thank you for being here.
Welcome, Bill.
Yes. Got it. Thank you. This is not my phone, apparently.
It's not my beautiful house.
Exactly. Connie Self, thank you for being here. Please welcome her. Better late than never for my intro. Okay, so this is what happens. Connie first met Jeff when he came to a clinic at Adventure 16, the outdoor shop she managed in 1981. As colleagues in the outdoor industry, they were friends for many years. In 2009, they became partners in life and embarked on the journey to create Metanoia. Producing the award-winning film, Grounded, Connie, through many difficult years, as Jeff's health declined. The film is a labor of love, grown out of their love for each other. Thank you for being here, Connie.
Thank you.
All right. And the questions that we...
And what about Jeff? Is there no bio on Jeff?
Where is your...
No bio.
Where is your
Well,
bio?
why don't you tell us?
Better now than never.
Right.
Why don't you have a microphone up there, Jeff? Let's get you one.
Hey, come on up.
Better late than never.
How are you? Welcome. What's up, buddy?
Was it the little Hollywood shootout at Raymond?
Adam Mast. Welcome, Adam Mast, everybody. Adam Mast has been writing about film for Southern Utah's The Independent, my publication, for nearly 25 years, about 23 years. He's also the co-founder of the entertainment site Cinemast.net. Additionally, Mast co-founded the nonprofit FNASU with John Pugh as a means to inspire, encourage, and champion aspiring filmmakers of all ages and all skill sets in the St. George area. Please welcome Adam Mast. Who did write that?
Adam's mom.
Yeah, it sounds like.
Hi, I'm Jeff Roth. I'm an award-winning filmmaker and animator. Thanks, man. Do that. I was a college professor. I taught visual effects, animation, motion graphics, editing, character design, screenwriting, the law of attraction, lots of stuff. I just snuck the law of attraction in there because no one's looking over my shoulder. It was like, we're going to spend week one doing this. So yeah, I came to Kanab and then I wanted to put on a film festival and Josh was all about it. So here we are. Let's roll with the questions.
All right, let's hear it for Jeff Roth, without whom none of us would probably be here right now. Or if you were, it'd probably be weird. Thank you, Jeff.
And he's got an amazing film here that plays tomorrow.
Yes, very talented. All right. No, I meant that. I know that didn't sound very sincere, but he is very talented. Otherwise, why would I collaborate with this guy? That'd be a waste of time, wouldn't it? No, he's great. He's great to work with. And great too, and Dana and Mike, and everybody else who's been participating in this amazing festival this weekend. So, we're going to ask you to try to keep the responses to just a couple minutes for each question if you can. And we'll just go down and we'll go back. All right, so how did you get into the filmmaking scene, Jeff?
All right, so the 2-minute version is I always loved animation. I loved cartoons as a kid. I was a professional actor starting at the age of, well, I guess I was a model at like 5, and then a professional actor at 8. Well, obviously. A race car bet for the newspaper. Me, I was loving it. So then I was in theater, and then as I got older and I realized, hey, I have money in the bank, I can make a film. I chose to go, in a movie called Nice Guys Sleep Alone. It's sometimes on HBO. Yeah, that's true. No, it's funny. And then I went to film school for college. I took an animation class on 9/11, and the guy was like, animation is just another medium for filmmaking. It doesn't have to be just a cartoon. And that kind of blew my mind. And then from there I went to grad school, and that is how I got into it.
Me, myself, I've always thought I don't necessarily have any particular ability for anything to be a success in this building. It's more like I have an inability to do anything else. Honest to God, that's pretty much it for me. But it's more of an obsession for me. I didn't really study so much. Well, I did with my father. He showed me Jerry Lewis movies and Bowery Boys and just anything that was shooting in black and white. If you grew up during that era when there wasn't content to put on TV, so they just replayed the old movies. That was basically my film school. And that's it. I'm just going to pass the mic on.
So a friend of Jeff and mine approached Jeff about that there should be a film made about his life and his climbs. He was quite ill at the time, and so this person thought it was important to document what he had done and his contributions to climbing, and also how inspiring he was as just how inspiring he was as a person, quite visionary. And so as we had our first production meeting in October of 2009, then we went to Switzerland to film on the Eiger, to do some filming around the climb, Metanoia. And that was, so I was hired to go, I went with them, and I was the cook, and I was the production coordinator. So I made all the shot lists and got everything done every day, and we had 2 directors, and by the end of that trip we had none. And so slowly but surely, as time went on, everything fell to me. Raising money, hiring a new director, figuring out what was next and how to get it done, and worked on storyline with Jeff and the other person. And it was a really fascinating and fun process, and it totally fell in my lap, and thankfully I figured out how to rise to the occasion.
I was floored by that film. Very, very good. I feel underqualified sitting next to these people, but well, thank you. It's the hat. Great job on these hats, honey. Let's hear it for these guys. I just do what I do because I love movies. It's that simple, and it probably dates back to, everyone has one of these stories if you're a film fan. Dates back to 1975, had a drive-in with my parents, saw a movie called Jaws, and I was hooked. Spielberg's my boy. Let the haters hate, I love the guy. Moving to St. George, I moved to St. George in '91 after living in Southern Cal for I guess you'd say my formidable years. And there was just not a lot of film stuff going on. And back in the early 2000s, we had this short-lived film festival called the Eclipse Film Festival. It lasted 2 years. And in conjunction with that, they did a quick turnaround filmmaking competition, and a big group of us took part, and we had a blast, and then it just sort of went on a permanent hiatus, and it really bummed me out. I'm like, why don't we have something like this here? If you're a musician, you can bust out the guitar, you can sit on a street corner, you can play, but it's not the same for filmmakers. So I decided that let's bring this thing back. So in 2005, we started the Guerrilla Filmmaking Challenge, which we essentially give filmmakers a theme and then a limited amount of time to make a short film encompassing that theme. And then that kind of spiraled. We do a Halloween event every year called Horror Fest. I'm kind of a horror junkie. I love all genres, but I have a special fondness for horror. And we do a Christmas one as well. And a couple years ago, is John Pugh here? He's not here, is he? John Pugh's a filmmaker. He has a film in the festival. He and I started a nonprofit a couple of years ago called FMASU, and our whole goal is to just, basically what Josh said earlier, we're looking to inspire, encourage, and champion up-and-coming filmmaking talent. Kind of let them get some hands-on experience, and then from there, they can decide if they want to go to school or if they want to do it for a profession. And it's it's a blast. Also, I've been writing all these years for Josh, which is kind of started the adventure. That was sort of the stepping stone. So thanks, Mr. Warburton.
You're very welcome, and thank you, Adam. 22 and a half years plus of, you've never missed an issue.
No, even my daughter, Mackenzie's here. She's 20. Yeah, there she is, screaming back there. She was actually born at 22 weeks, and when she was in ICU with my wife, still did, actually in some ways, the paper helped keep my, I mean, it was very trying times. It helped me keep my sanity. So that was, all these years later, I don't know, it's crazy. I can't believe it's been that long. Mission Impossible was my first review, 1996. So
Makes sense, doesn't it?
yeah, very much.
Thank you, thank you. All right, go ahead and hang on to that microphone. We're gonna go on to the next question. Yeah, you guys can clap. Go on. Okay, so now we're gonna ask about the specific projects. So I know that you submitted multiple films that you were involved with this particular.
Well, I encouraged a lot of our filmmakers in St. George to submit stuff, and
Yes,
you
you did.
guys, your screening committee was kind enough to show some of them, and
Yes.
it's interesting because there's some really badass films at this festival, and I think some of the guerrilla filmmakers they're really able to get up in there in the thick of it. I mean, if you hold some of the films together, when you're watching films, you're not thinking, I wonder how long this movie took to make, how long this one took to make, so it's really, really interesting. But yeah, we have a handful of people that submitted, and I'm inspired, and that's really why I do what I do, because I'm inspired by them. That's what it's all about.
Do you want to speak about any current projects that were submitted? That you were involved in?
Let's see. Yesterday, in the Utah competition, you had a film called Noose, which was made by Sean Lebrecq. Actually, that was made for Little Hollywood Shootout, which is why I was late, because I was over there doing that. It was really exciting. Sean's made several films. John Pugh made Uncontrollable.
Last one.
Yeah, that was out of Guerrilla. Trey Patterson's And Your Mind, and then Caleb Hatton had a film finished long since. I always get that title screwed up. Really cool. That guy has got such a great eye. Amazing DP, the way they shoot their stuff. Jeff Sanders made How to Be a Good Housewife, which is freaking insanely great. So good. Did everybody see it?
Yeah.
That's so good. So, yeah, amazing filmmakers. Shout out to Carlos Plummer here. Did you guys see Becoming Rich?
Yeah.
Awesome.
This kid's 18. He turned 18 years. I wasn't
I don't believe it.
that talented. I'm still not that talented, and I'm 50 years old, so hats off to you.
Thank you, Adam, very, very much. So if you'd like to speak about what inspired the project, I think you've already spoken a little bit about it, but if you might want to expand on it.
Okay, so Jeff Lowe is a world-renowned climber. He's quite an icon in the climbing community, and I've known Jeff a long, long time, since the early 80s, and before that, as a young climber myself, everybody knew who Jeff Lowe was in the 70s, and the kind of things he was doing, and clean climbing, very clean, very inspired climbs. He really was into the aesthetics of climbing. He wasn't very interested in going to Everest. He wanted to climb really beautiful lines that quite often nobody else could see. There's a line in our film from a friend of his who said, somebody once asked, what's his name? The musician. Oh, never mind, I can't remember. I'll skip to the next part.
What did he say?
He said, he said that he was talking about him in terms of changing music, and he said he changed music more than anyone else in 2 generations, and that's what people have said about Jeff Lowe, is that he changed climbing more than anybody else in at least a generation, if not 2. And my knowing Jeff, just, first as a friend and as a distance, and then, we dated a couple of different times over the course of our lives in between his wives. And I always thought Jeff was a really amazing and inspired climber, and he was also incredibly calm. I mean, he had a presence and a way of being on the mountain that was just very calm, very solid. He was not an adrenaline junkie. He always said if you had adrenaline going, you needed to back off. You were over the edge, and because it was unsafe. And he was also very funny. He had a tremendous sense of humor, and he could make the best of any situation ever. And we really saw that in the last years of his life. And I would often say to him, you know, Jeff, if you can never figure out how to have that connection to the divine, to your higher self, whatever you want to call it, where you're totally in alignment, because that's how he climbed. He didn't get hurt in the mountains. He broke his ankle once, and that was because the cornice fell off. That wasn't his doing. It had nothing to do with his judgment. And because where he had trouble was on the planet, in normal relationships. And so I always said, if you could get that part together, you'd have an amazing life. And so I was very inspired by the story and the juxtaposition to all of us, how none of us are perfect. All of us have our great strengths and our great contributions that we make, whether they be large or small, but to somebody they're meaningful. And we all have our flaws and the ways in which we screw things up for ourselves and for other people. And we all thought that that was meaningful for people to understand that, you know, just because you screw up here doesn't mean it's not worth your other contributions. And by the same token, your tremendous contributions don't excuse bad behavior. There's consequences in your life for the good that you do and for the negative things that you do. And trying to just own that and do better. So we were all inspired to make that story.
Thank you.
What inspired? Well, inspired me, at least to be here, would be my dad. For so many years, my dad, by the way, is Bill Cunningham, 3 times Mr. Ireland, Mr. USA, Mr. America, Mr. Universe. He was in Muscle Beach Party with Frankie and Annette. He graced the album cover and all sorts of stuff. And in many ways, once my father had a family, he kind of put his show business career on hold, his acting and his singing and his dancing and stuff like that, and basically went into sales simply so that his children could eat. And vicariously, in many ways, because of his inspiration, I became an actor and got involved in theater and became successful, for lack of a better word, knock wood, whatever that word means. And I guess for me, it was what inspired me was to give back a little bit, because here he's still got such energy, such talent, and I thought, well, let's do a music video. So we did the first music video. This is our second music video. He's got his website up, BillCunninghamSings.com, and it's just kind of a little bit of it was just time to kind of give back a little bit and do something together. Because for so often it's like, you know, they're feeding you money and they're putting you through school and they're helping you out and all sorts of stuff. So if anything, I've been very blessed in that we've been able to work together and get the whole family involved and come out here and have Jeff and Josh give us a spotlight, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What's the question?
What inspired the current project?
Okay, so you guys haven't seen it. It's playing tomorrow night. It's called The Last... I don't know. It's towards the end. It's like right before Adam's film, that's all I know. Yeah, somewhere around 5:20. Don't hold me to that. What inspired it? So I was friends with this guy named Alex Hannaford, the writer and director. He directed the actors, I directed the animation. And we were on a camping trip, and he goes, you know, I've been writing this guy. He's a death row journalist in Texas, so obviously he's like real busy.
Death row journalist.
Death row journalist. No, yeah, well obviously Texas kills more people, so he's got his niche and it's writing about people on death row. It's crazy, yeah. So he had this pen pal that he had been writing, you know, probably 10 years, 5 years, letters back and forth. And he realized that his entire life, this guy had been on death row, just rotting there. And he had 3, at least 2, because the film is about his 3rd one, 2 opportunities. It's a composite of 3 guys, but it's basically one character. And the guy was brought to the execution chamber. There's 40 miles between Huntsville, where they kill you, and Livingston, where you, quote, live in jail. So the last 40 miles is literally the last time these guys see the outside world, from where they've been existing to where they're going to die. And the film is just a conversation between the guard and the prisoner. But Alex had been writing, and he was like, hey, I want to make this movie. And I was like, there's no way we can make a